18 minutes into the ride, police say crew inches to the middle of the back seat and then pulls out a gun, grabs Bakuza's ponytail, and presses the pistol to the back of her head.
What are you doing?
This is a gun. Keep driving.
No, it's not. Stop. Come on, man. I got a family. What are you doing?
I got a family too. Now drive.
What are you doing?
Drive.
Please stop.
Drive the car, miss.
I have 4 kids. What are you doing?
That you fake your own death to run away with another woman. Well, that's exactly what this man did. On August 11, Ryan Borgward went on a fishing trip, and that was the last time his wife and 3 kids saw him. His wife reported him missing, and when police went to go look for him, they found his kayak upside down, his car still parked, and his cell phone in the water. So obviously, police thought that there was an accident and he drowned, so they had a search team look for him in the water, but they couldn't find him. But then in October, 2 months after he disappeared, police found out that he crossed over into Canada just a few days after he went missing. So imagine, at first the family's devastated because they think that their father is dead, but then they find out that he's alive and he's in Canada. When police got a hold of his laptop, they found out that this man had been plotting how to fake his death for months. He went about getting a new passport, purchased a $375,000 life insurance policy. He wiped out everything from his computer and even changed the emails linked to his bank accounts. But it gets even crazier because police found out that he sent money to a foreign account, and then they find out that he was in contact with a Russian woman this entire time. So did he leave his family to start a new life? But then everything kind of went downhill for him because he sent police a video telling them that he was safe and alive and there's nothing to be worried about. Then he decided to return to Wisconsin a couple of days ago, and he was arrested for faking his own death. So my question is, what made him come back? Did his relationship with this woman not work out?
Crazy things happen.
Maybe he had fizzled out or something like that, or he just thought he made a huge mistake, man. But it's too late. The consequences for freaking your death is, I'm guessing, it's pretty huge, bro. He couldn't just end it. He had to pull like a Taken, bro. Like he just freaking was gone, bro. Come on, man. We gotta do better than that, bro. Just end the relationship if it ain't worth it, bro.
Happening in the world right now. A bear that attacked luxury cars in LA was actually a person in a costume, according to insurance investigators. Passengers have a new fear unlocked because the plane they were on flew for 9 hours and then landed back at the same airport they came from. Mike Tyson reminded a child reporter that she too will die someday. A police officer pulled over his own boss for speeding. A former inmate sued Oklahoma jail officers for their baby shark torture tactic. A woman who dropped her phone in between 2 boulders got stuck upside down trying to get it. A fire station burned down in Germany after there was no fire detection system installed. The latest study shows that self-driving cars are safer than humans driving cars unless it's dawn, dusk, or it's trying to turn. A new alleged potato cartel is being accused of conspiring to raise the price of frozen fries and tater tots across the United States.
Facts that will definitely make your skin crawl.
They want that money.
Too. There is more of a chance of you finding a dead body underneath your bed than actually finding it in the garbage. If you ever plug your nose during a sneeze, you can actually rupture a blood vessel in your neck or your brain and it'll cause you to bleed to death. The electric chair was actually invented by a dentist. If a black cat looks at you and runs, it usually means something is about to happen to you, usually being pretty bad.
Well, I heard someone said your body.
Take those facts in.
I agree. The best one. It is a sickness. So here's how nature deals with that. Bonobos actually have a system where if one female gets pressed by a male and she's not feeling him, she'll let out a cry, and every female in the group will pull up and put the beats on dude until he learns respect. They actually managed to nerf male aggression through the power of friendship. So you know when a new male lion takes over a pride, the first thing he does is cancel any cubs that didn't come from his. Well, sometimes the lionesses ain't having it. Sometimes they jump the new guy. There was one case in Masai Mara where a male tried to steal food from some cubs and got absolutely obliterated by the mothers. They castrated him. I can't even show you that picture. The biggest threat to a baby bear is a bigger male, and some mother bears will purposely live closer to people, knowing that's the only thing keeping her biggest ops away. Ironically, some bears choose a man. Funny. When a capybara wants to dub a guy, she'll dive into the nearest body of water and just sit there. For as long as it takes. By the way, the guinea pig can stay under 5 minutes. Female dragonflies will fake their deaths to avoid male attention. Like they'll freeze in midair, crash to the ground, and just lay there and pray that stops them. Sometimes it doesn't. Some anacondas will seemingly let the male score, only to strangle him to a flatline and then eat him alive. The more you know.
Nah, the dragonfly pulling the fake freeze, bro. Like, you know how those streamers be doing, like, con them? There was fake freeze and the freaking avoided their acted, bro. Is that where they got it from? The more you know, man. We learning out here today.
Insane true stories that you won't believe. Back in 2004, a man named Mitch who was a senior in college fell in love with a girl in his grade. After they graduated, they moved in together and began to work. And 2 years later, they got married. Not too long after, Mitch's wife became pregnant. But his job was going so well that his wife was able to stay at home and take care of their newborn baby. And a few years after that, his wife became pregnant again. Mitch absolutely adored his family. And with raising his kids and having a great job, he was living his best life. But one night while he was watching TV, he noticed something strange out of the corner of his eye. A red lamp in their family living room was blurry. Nothing else in the room was blurry to Mitch except for that lamp. He decided to shrug it off, but when he looked at it again, it was not only blurry, but it appeared to be upside down. He didn't tell his family because he didn't want to concern them. But after a few days, Mitch became obsessed over this lamp. He even skipped work just to stare at it all day long. And he eventually became unresponsive. Part 2's up now.
Alright, who am I mad at? You! I'll never forgive you for that. Crazy how a cereal commercial managed to gaslight us about this bird. Toucans are one of the strangest dinosaurs still alive, and no, I'm being serious. First of all, it's not even a parrot, it's basically a giant woodpecker. And they're not just fruit-loving rainbow vegans, they eat other birds. As in, they'll go out of their way to raid nests and eat the baby birds inside. Yeah, follow your nose, right? You know, and they're not also murking bats and frogs and pretty much anything else. I've even seen one life-deprive an owl. Y'all think they're cute, but I see right through them. And like this bird in reverse, you can too. The skin is so thin and translucent, you can stretch it and shine a light through it. It's like it's not even there. They also have a serrated beak. You know, serrated, like a knife. Unless you're a flying fruit ninja, there's no reason for a vegetarian to have that hardware. The signs were there. This tropical drone also has a feather duster for a tongue. That tongue's entire purpose is to shove food back down his throat. And food could be a blueberry or a struggling baby bird trying to escape. But the only way out is through the south mouth. Speaking of which, this is my life. I hate it. Understand that owning a toucan is owning a ballistic, unregulated paintball that will redecorate your home with color bombs whenever they feel like it. I just want to reiterate, any small animal you put near this bird is in danger, but if you want to put a sugar glider next to a Fruit Loops mascot, that is a decision. And they're not that bad. The babies are cute, and they purr.
That's a woodpecker.
These are scary cartoon truths that'll terrify you, part 16. Charlie Brown apparently has cancer. The most obvious clue that Charlie Brown has cancer is that he is mostly bald except for the one small tuft of hair on the front of his head. No other character in the show appears as bald, so it implies that it just wasn't a random characteristic style. The other odd thing about Charlie Brown is his down and out personality. He's always dealing with existential crises, way deeper than any normal 8-year-old should contemplate. The theory goes on to suggest the reason that nothing ever works out for him and his life is always a disaster is because he's in a hospital bed, slowly fading away and projecting his sadness into dreams.
What do you guys think, man? We learned watching these clips together with you guys, bro, that we can't take what the media presents to us, man, as absolute truth. Charlie, man, dark origins confirmed? Our childhoods are different, bro.
These are the craziest knockoffs of popular cartoons. Most people know about the amazing world of Gumball. But today, I'm going to introduce you to Miracle Star, a Chinese show that was launched in 2014. This knockoff didn't just copy the animation style. It recreated entire scenes from Gumball. The main character is also a cat boy, whose brother is a fish with legs. The creators of Gumball obviously found out about this, so they went ahead and made an episode called The Copycats, where the two families from the shows face off. Next, I think we all agree that the Cars franchise is a masterpiece. Well, today I'm bringing you something better. This is a movie called The Autobots, a Chinese movie that was released in 2015. The movie got immediate attention because of its resemblance to Cars. And when I say resemblance, I mean it's almost the exact same movie. The only difference is that in this world there are actual humans, and the characters are very slightly different. But it's pretty obvious that the main character is a blatant copy of Lightning McQueen. And in Cars we have Francesco, but in Autobots we have Francisco instead. The movie's director actually defended it, saying he had never seen Cars before. And there was a sequel planned to come out in 2017, but Disney won a copyright lawsuit against them, so it was cancelled.
That was the most obvious cat, bro, I've seen yet. Of course they were ripping it off. That's like copying somebody's work and just changing the words around. It's still the same.
craziest Halloween houses you've ever seen. Someone turned their house into a castle and it comes with a dragon. This person made a UFO crash site in their front yard. You have to love Halloween to put that much effort into it. This guy built a huge scarecrow, and look how small he is compared to it. That's gigantic. Someone put a skeleton on the road and made it look like it's coming out of the ground. Before I show you the best one, I just found a way to prank your friends by replacing their texts with whatever you want. If you want to prank your friends, press here on my profile, then press change your friends' text messages. And finally, I really don't like spiders, but this was very well done.
These are the strangest things that have ever been caught on camera. This video shows what appears to be a dark humanoid type creature crawling towards a bunch of boys playing soccer. Once the kids see it, they immediately run away and tear. Nobody knows for sure what this animal was, but many people claim that it was the South American mythical beast known as the Pombero. This next video was taken at the funeral of a 7-year-old girl. It shows one of the balloons that was next to her coffin somehow floating directly to her crying mother in the audience. Many people believe that this was the girl trying to comfort her mother from the grave.
Is that an edit or was that legit, man?
Male lion will step in and show everyone how it's done.
I'm so glad you said that, because I've been wanting to talk about this for a minute. Now I have an excuse. Male lions can hunt. They're actually very good at it. Do you peep the 2 minute? The whole them not hunting thing, that comes from lion pride, and there's a reason for that. You see, lady lions are great at getting groceries, but they can get jacked by hyenas or even other male lions. I think it's something like they only keep 24% of the animals they take down, so it's actually the male's job to defend and kill. Kind of hard to do that when you spend all that energy catching it. Also, the way they hunt is different. Lionesses hunt as a pack running down prey. With lions, the mane kind of gives them away, so they're mostly ambush hunters. The male lions do help hunt. It's usually to help bring down bigger tanks like buffalo. They're like mercenaries. They just come in and finish the job. Simba also has to patrol his territory and run phase with any down bad males that want to take over his pride. Yeah, no pride to be found after that. Also, before they even get a pride, they're in their bachelor nomad era, and if they don't hunt for themselves, they die. Here's some other lion facts, just because I feel like it. It's actually proven. Lions will leave an area after murking something, just to give their survivors a chance to let their guard back down. Some lionesses will purposely play paternity roulette and give up the lion yash to any males, even ones outside the pride, because not knowing who the father is actually saves the cubs from meeting Mufasa. In 2004, a man jumped into a lion exhibit and attempted to convert them to Christianity. Yeah, the cats. He told them Jesus will save you, and for his efforts he nearly got a meet and greet with him. The more you know.
Here's how shows were originally supposed to look. So Toy Story featured this much larger, wide-chinned Woody that was actually supposed to be a villain, with Buzz Lightyear appearing in a red suit. Glad they changed that. Monsters Inc. originally animated Mike Wazowski without hands and looking a bit less friendly, and Sully was completely different, foregoing blue for brown and looking a bit more dorky. Lost media of Shrek was found in 1996, which had Shrek looking a lot creepier with very little resemblance to the good-looking man that we all know and love today. Lightning McQueen was supposed to be a basic stock car with more body to appeal to more viewers, since race cars are considered to be too low. Finding Nemo originally had the whale scene with only Nemo, and made the blue whale a lot less intimidating than in the final version. Smurfs had an unpolished finish leading up to the days before final production, looking like this. And finally, Sonic from Sonic the Hedgehog movie was originally animated to look like this. Pretty cool, right?
This man was seen.
We know how that went. Thank you for those redesigns, bro. They freaking define people's childhoods, bro. Especially, man, that Sonic redesign, bro. I remember the Havoc that came out when they dropped that trailer. It was chilling on Twitter. They had to go back to the drawing board. Thank you for that, bro.
Seen sleepwalking every night to an abandoned well, and when people found out why, he was arrested. Part 2. Inside, they found barrels of gunpowder. It turns out Assad was sent to the village by a large mining company. The village was actually built on a large gold deposit, but for years the villagers wouldn't let the company mine it. So every week the company would send Assad a shipment of gunpowder, which he secretly poured down the well. And when the time was right, he would set it off, causing a massive landslide, destroying the village and letting the company mine the gold. But before I tell you what happened, if you want to erase corrupt world leaders that invade other countries or really anything from your photos, you need to try this. Just press this button on my profile and try erasing something. Since Assad was always thinking about this plan, he would subconsciously walk there while he was sleepwalking, which ultimately got him caught.
The ultimate sleepwalker, bro. He was dedicated to that plan. Don't know how much that had to be drilled into you, bro, to be doing that while you're sleeping. I've never seen a sleepwalker before. I think that's weird, bro.
3
facts that could save your life, part 5. If you ever find yourself trapped on a thin piece of ice and have no way of getting back to safe land before it breaks, lie down on your stomach and start slowly crawling back to exactly the way you came in on. That'll put less stress on the ice, making it almost impossible for it to break. Most people understand flags on shorelines, but the purple flag confuses most people. The purple flag being the warning that the most dangerous sea creatures are in that exact area, such as jellyfish, stingrays, and of course, sharks. If you ever feel like puking while you're scuba diving, vomit into the regulator. Do not remove it from your mouth. Removing it from your mouth will make it impossible to reapply it on your face, meaning that you're probably pretty far underwater, and once you remove that from your face, you probably will most likely drown. Like and follow for more videos.
Okay. I think the last one was pretty...
So, nobody finds it interesting that Moana goes looking for her ancestors that are connected to the sea and she comes back with new...
Hello, my friend. How could Moana have African-appearing ancestors if she's meant to be Polynesian? This is an understandable mistake, but the people depicted in Moana 2 are not meant to be African, but instead Melanesians. While the Melanesian appearance shares a lot in common with the appearance of populations in Africa, they're actually further genetically to Africans than Europeans are. The story of Moana is rooted in the history of the Austronesian migration. Around 4,000 years ago, it's understood that Austronesian-speaking people began their voyages from Taiwan, moving across the islands of Southeast Asia. As they sailed, parts of their population settled in islands they crossed, developing into the populations of Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines, to name a few. They eventually sailed across the Pacific Ocean, and some even reached Madagascar, leading to the people of Madagascar today. It's the part of the migration where they started sailing across the Pacific Ocean that explains what you saw in the movie, as well as why Polynesians tend to appear physically different than their Indonesian or Filipino cousins. The Austronesians that sailed towards the Pacific began interacting with the Melanesians, who today remain residing in the islands of Papua New Guinea, the Solomon Islands, and Fiji. Over thousands of years, these groups remained interacting with each other, trading goods, ideas, and even genetics. And so that's why Polynesians and, well, Moana would have some Melanesian ancestry.
Celebrities that disappeared and were never found. Bison Dele played in the NBA for 8 years after being drafted in 1991, even winning a championship alongside Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls in 1997. Despite having 5 more years in a $45 million contract with the Pistons, he abruptly retired at the age of 30 in 1999. In his retirement, he enjoyed traveling the world in his catamaran boat that he called Hakuna Matata. On July 6th of 2002, Bison, his older brother Miles, his girlfriend Serena, and skipper Bertrand left Tahiti. By July 8th, the family of Bison and Serena had completely lost contact with them. On July 20th, Miles returned to Tahiti with the boat, but this time he was alone. 2 months later, Miles would be arrested in Phoenix for attempting to forge his brother's signature, attempting to buy over $150,000 worth of gold. The boat was discovered off the coast of Tahiti with the nameplate completely removed and possible bullet holes that had been patched. Now, he confessed that him and his brother had gotten into an argument on the boat. Bison's girlfriend was accidentally hit, fell over, and smacked her head on the part of the boat, which resulted in her death. The captain then wanted to report her death, which is why Bison killed him. Miles then shot his brother in self-defense, threw the bodies overboard, and fled back to the US. Obviously, the story doesn't quite add up. Now, before police could even attempt to try and verify his story, he intentionally overdosed on insulin and died September 27th, 2002.
Oh, brother, bro. For some gold, man? He just thought he can sail back and everything and be okay? No, I don't work like that, man. Consequences, reactions. That's an edit.
My biggest fear was having an ugly baby. Now look what the fuck I got. Look at him. He is so funny looking.
How dare you say something like this about your own child? To all the moms watching this, do you think this is normal? Now, I'm not married, I don't have kids, but this is messed up. You've been carrying this child for 9 months. This child is your own skin, and you go and call him ugly publicly online. To me, miss, your child looks adorable. There are women out there that gave birth to babies missing arms and legs, and they were never treated differently than other kids. These kids eventually grow up winning golden medals in Special Olympics.
Talk about it.
But the thing is, there's nothing wrong with your child, miss. What a shame. What a shame.
Yeah, like, but how can you talk about that like your own flesh and blood? Saying talking about you have an ugly baby. That was a cute baby. Like, but that doesn't even make sense. Man, this world of secrets. We have to be better as a people, everybody, but as just be better as human beings.
An influencer has died at a creator event hosted by Box Lunch. If you're not aware of the story or of Dominique and the events that led up to this, Dominique Brown is a Disney influencer. She was invited to attend a creator event that was going to be hosted by Box Lunch. Dominique also had a number of severe allergies, which allegedly she had made the events team very aware of. But despite them being aware of that, an incident took place at the event where Dominique suffered a severe allergic reaction. People who were at the event made allegations that she did not receive very necessary medical attention in time, and it was confirmed Dominique did die at the event. The most disturbing and dystopian thing about all of this is that other creators, other influencers who attended this event are allegedly still posting content, positive content from the event, as if this event did not happen.
These are the most haunted places
people do for money.
in the Philippines. Before I start listing them down, you do need to know that for all paranormal investigators, the country of Philippines is on their to-do list, as it's known worldwide for its haunted destinations. Starting at number 4, Fort Santiago, Intramuros in Manila. The walls of Intramuros turn into something terrifying, reminding you of the dark Spanish era. Thousands of civilians and soldiers were tortured and killed in Fort Santiago during World War II. It may be a hot tourist spot, but at night, the strange noises that are heard in this fort tends to keep visitors and tourists away. Number 3, Clark Air Base Hospital in Pampanga. This abandoned building used to be a military hospital during World War II and the Vietnam War. Paranormal investigators have confirmed that demons have conquered this property. It is commonly visited by YouTubers, but things always go wrong. The jinns that are specifically in this hospital are a little more protective towards their home. Number 2, Manila Film Center, Pasay City. This building is potentially one of Asia's most haunted destinations. When a building is haunted in the United States, you will hear noises. But when a building is haunted in the Philippines, it is a whole nother level. This film center was abandoned in the 80s after it collapsed during construction. It killed all the workers, and none of their bodies were retrieved. And ever since, visitors were always warned to stay out of this building. The bad energy in this place spiritually drains you. And finally, number 1, Diplomat Hotel in Baguio City. Baguio City is ranked as the world's most haunted city as a whole. The Diplomat Hotel goes way back to 1911. No priests were able to cleanse this place. After many deaths inside this hotel, the business ceased its operations in 1987. Many paranormal investigators from around the world swore that they would never visit this building again. The Philippines is a beautiful country, but it is well known for its horrifying stories. You tell me, what country should I do next?
Save your life. Always keep a pack of gum with you. Gum can help relieve stress and suppress your appetite during emergencies. And it can also be used as a glue substitute. Remember the survival rules of 3s. First, you can only survive for around 3 minutes without air and only 3 days without water. And finally, 3 weeks without food. This will help you rank your needs in case of emergencies. If you're walking to your car in a dark place, have your keys ready in your hand. It will be much easier for you to get in your car quickly. And if you're attacked, you can use your keys as a weapon. And don't forget, no matter how thirsty you are, do not eat large amount of snow. Too much cold ice in your stomach can cause you to die from hypothermia, so melt the ice before drinking it.
Who will be eating
When
snow?
police arrived at Zoraida and Alberto's home, they discovered a horrific scene. Zoraida and Alberto and their 2 young sons, who were only 10 and 7 years old, as well as their 3 dogs, they were all brutally murdered. Who would want this entire family gone? Zoraida and her family's death was part of a complicated and disturbing plot involving Zoraida's affair with a man named Nathaniel Huey Jr. But here's the thing, Nathaniel wasn't the only person involved in this disturbing and evil plot. Zoraida and Nathaniel met at work. They knew each other for about a year and started an affair in May 2023. Zoraida was married to her husband Alberto. They had 2 kids. Nathaniel, on the other hand, was in a 10+ year relationship with a woman named Ermelinda Palomo. For some time, they thought that no one knew about their affair, but they were wrong. At some point during their affair, Nathaniel's fiancée, Ermelinda, found out about what was going on, but instead of her completely losing it and confronting him, she kept it a secret. But she would come up with this crazy and disturbing plot to get revenge. And I'm not talking about revenge against Nathaniel necessarily. She targeted Zoraida and her family. Ermelinda began creating various social media accounts and pretended to be someone from the Mexican cartel. I know, this is crazy, psychotic, and it's really difficult to believe, but this is just what was going on.
Crazy things happening in the world.
Bro, man, she took Catfish to a whole new level. Man, I'm trying to tell you guys, seekers, bro. Beware of catfishes, man. You never know what will unfold, man, by messing with one of them. You always gotta check out their identity. You know who you talk to online.
Right now. A bear that attacked luxury cars in LA was actually a person in a costume, according to insurance investigators. Passengers have a new fear unlocked because the plane they were on flew for 9 hours and then landed back at the same airport they came from. Mike Tyson reminded a child reporter that she too will die someday. A police officer pulled over his own boss for speeding. A former inmate sued Oklahoma jail officers for their baby shark torture tactic. A woman who dropped her phone in between 2 boulders got stuck upside down trying to get it. A fire station burned down in Germany after there was no fire detection system installed. The latest study shows that self-driving cars are safer than humans driving cars unless it's dawn, dusk, or it's trying to turn. A new alleged potato cartel is being accused of conspiring to raise the price of frozen fries and tater tots across the United States.
Wouldn't surprise me, man. We gotta watch out for the potato cartel. Well, money's involved.
A photo of 2 sisters. Where did this nun come from? A couple enjoying their vacation. The girl in the red lost her footing while posing for a picture and fell into Niagara Falls.
People are saying your favorite celebrities are hanging out with a witch. As you can see, this woman is pretty friendly with a lot of celebrities. A$AP Rocky, Kim Kardashian, Kanye, even Amigos. But why are they so deeply connected with this woman? Her name is Michelle Lemmy, and it says she's a fashion designer, film producer, etc. But she's also married to Rick Owens, who is known as the Dark Lord of fashion. Look, here she is even wearing his head as a purse. Oh, and she's very close to Marina Abramovich, whose art is a little demonic. I mean, she once threw a party with a human-shaped cake. I kid you not. Look at this. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this just a connection for fashion, or is there something more darker going on? And make sure you guys hit that follow button, because my next video will blow your mind.
This is why you
These designer brands, man. Doesn't surprise me. We all remember what happened with the, I guess the Balenciaga brand and that stuff came out, so now we gotta beware of Rick Owens and whatever she be freaking designing. I ain't gonna lie, we probably gonna have to stay away from those designer seekers. Do any of you guys seekers wear designers? I would be curious to know, and if you do, what brand, but you never know, man, the story about what goes behind those brands, man.
You should always lock your doors. A junior in high school was home alone working on a paper while his parents were out to dinner. All night he sits with his back to his door, sitting at his desk with his noise-canceling headphones on. Around 11 o'clock he takes his headphones off at the same time his parents are returning to the house, and he hears his mom from downstairs yell, "Hey Adrian, what happened?" Confused, he runs downstairs and sees right away what she's looking at. Muddy footprints all over the rug. He tells her, "I didn't leave my desk." And then they realize someone must have broken in. They look at the footprints and there's none leaving the house. They're worried someone's still in the house. They run into the garage, terrified, call the police. Police arrive and they don't find anyone in the house, but they do make a chilling discovery upstairs. The police bring them to the kid's bedroom door, which had been left open all night, and they point to the message written on it in Sharpie. This is the actual transcript of what was written on his door, which means for nearly 2 hours, someone stood in this kid's doorway watching him.
What? He didn't even notice?
Morbid
Be aware.
Facts, Part 421. Christine Palillo was a bullied outcast at school until 2 popular girls befriended her and gave her a makeover, helping her achieve the title of Miss Irresistible from her school's student body. But just a few months later, Christine and her drug addict boyfriend would end up brutally murdering the girls and 2 others in a botched drug deal. One of the girls tried desperately crawling to her phone after being shot in the groin, until Christine bashed her skull in with the butt of her revolver. Serial killer Dennis Rader used to install security systems for homeowners. Many of his clients wanted the security systems to keep the BTK killer from ever entering their homes, unaware that he was in fact the one installing them. In 2017, Glenna Durham killed her husband after shooting him 5 times. Soon afterwards, the couple's pet African gray parrot started repeating the words "don't effing shoot" in the husband's voice. These were assumed to be the husband's last words, and the woman was eventually found guilty of first-degree murder.
The parrot
Baffling
got her?
Butterfly Effects, Part 4. In 1928, a man from London left his home for a 2-week vacation at the beach. When he returned home, he noticed a horrific smell, but he didn't know where it was coming from. He eventually found an old piece of cheese that was covered in mold. He examined the cheese under a microscope, and he noticed that there were no bacteria around the mold. That mold led to the discovery of antibiotics, which have saved over 200 million lives.
Whoa. So mold is where we get antibiotics from?
Strangest addictions people have. Nicole eats drywall.
Okay.
Jennifer eats the foam inside of beds and couch cushions.
Wow.
Kinno eats toilet paper. Bria eats sand.
How? What the?
Teresa eats 2 pounds of rock a day.
Okay, that's just, to me, that seems impossible. 2 pounds at that?
Cassie eats her late husband's ashes to mourn him.
Forbidden places
That takes the cake.
never visit. Snake Island is an island off of the coast of Brazil, filled with deadly snakes. Rising sea levels caused this piece of land to become an island, allowing for the snakes to flourish in their own environment. There are now up to 5 snakes every square meter, and you are not allowed to go here. In Svalbard, Norway, there is a global seed vault, aka the Doomsday Vault. It is the world's seed bank, storing samples of crops from all over the world just in case of a global catastrophe. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang in China holds an army of warriors made of clay. It protects the burial spot of the first emperor of China who died in 210 BC, and we only discovered this tomb in 1974. Paveglia Island in Italy was used to exile hundreds of thousands of victims of the plague. It is said to be one of the most haunted places on Earth, and a dark local legend says that 50% of the soil is made up of human remains. Follow for more.
Whoa. We Xing that place off of Italy.
This is a scary story about the school trip. An entire class of 6th graders went on a school trip one day. Everybody was taking pictures with their phones and cameras and having such a great time. But when they all got back to school, they started looking through all the photos they took, when suddenly one of the girls screamed, "Oh my god, what is that?" In the picture, one of the boys in the class was sitting on the bus, and nothing seemed strange about the photo until you looked at his reflection in the window. His face in the reflection looked like it was yellow and bulging, and completely mutating. Also, there was a white floating figure behind him in the reflection. Everybody turned the photo upside down and realized it was a human skull, and it was horrific.
And when the boy saw the photo of himself, he immediately burst into tears and had a panic attack. The teacher then took the boy to the nurse's office, and the principal banned everybody from speaking about the strange photo ever again. And to make this even scarier, 7 days later, the boy died from a brain tumor. The photo is said to be on the internet somewhere, but I don't recommend looking for it.
Scary humans recorded by cameras.
Morbid Facts, Part 446. An X-ray revealed that a 300-year-old Mexican statue of Jesus has real human teeth. They're believed to have been donated by worshippers as a way to get closer to the religious figure. After killing his girlfriend with a hatchet, 30-year-old Philadelphia man William Kemmler became the first person to be executed by electric chair. While it was supposed to demonstrate the effectiveness and humanity of electrocution, the punishment went horribly wrong. They underestimated the amount of electricity needed to quickly and painlessly end a man's life, so Kemmler was still conscious after the first shock. When physicians noticed he was still breathing in agony, they hit him with a second shock that was more powerful, causing his entire body to convulse violently and start smoking. Kemmler ended up with bubbling skin, melted eyes, and a foaming mouth, and the entire room reeked of burning flesh as many spectators ended up passing out from the horror. But despite this, the electric chair would still continue to be used for more than 100 years afterwards.
Once you introduce something to society, it's hard to put that genie back into the bottle.
This mysterious creature was captured on a trail cam. At first, it looks a lot like a wolf, but looking more closely, the front legs appear to have elongated fingers, unlike any species of dog or wolf. The face, in particular, the nose and teeth of the creature appear almost human-like. Could this be a rare sighting of the mythological creature known as a werewolf? In folklore, a werewolf is an individual who can shapeshift into a wolf, either purposely or after being placed under a curse or a bite from another werewolf, with the transformation occurring on the night of a full moon.
Terrifier 4 will be the last movie
Werewolf confirmed?
That's what everybody online is saying, and you guys could not be more wrong. Damien Leone coming out yesterday saying, look, I don't have a definitive answer on how many movies we're going to make, but I personally want to make 1 to 2 more. Rest assured, the ending will be epic and terrifying. Now look, fam, we've seen this before. We know this all too well. On top of the fact that Terrifier 3 made over $18 million made on a $2 million budget. I don't ever want people to look at Terrifier as a money grab, but as long as the movies are pumping and doing insanely well at the box office, the saga ain't ending. And that's not a hit at them at all, because I absolutely love the franchise and I love this movie. But all in all, you have to think about it. When money is involved, things will be made. As I said, we've seen this before. My only fear is that Art the Clown is going to turn into a glorified poster boy, pretty much like Jason and Michael. We got way too many movies. They all continue to overlap with the reboots, and this person making it and that person making it. And in my personal opinion, made kind of a mockery of the whole entire franchise. Granted, some movies are good, some of the reboots are good, but everybody puts their own twist on it. We don't need another twist on Art the Clown. We do not need another person playing Art the Clown. David Howard Thornton is Art the Clown. If anybody else ever plays Art the Clown, it's not going to be the same. Damien Leone's the director, no one else. I'm hoping Art the Clown doesn't turn into another Jason and Michael, but it might happen.
This couple in California
just 5 movies, that's
big
it?
bikes, wait until somebody would steal it, and then beat them up with baseball bats and record it and post it onto YouTube. This happened all the way back in 2020, and they really did not like bike thieves, apparently. This happened in Fresno, California, and they would brag about it to their neighbors. Even crazier, they wouldn't even bother to call the police after they assaulted them or when they caught the thieves. They really just wanted to beat them up with these metal baseball bats. Apparently they were victims of break-ins and home invasions and then theft. They then decided to take the law into their own hands because they thought nothing was really getting done for them. Now obviously the YouTube videos have since been taken down. That's kind of how they got caught, because of YouTube and the bragging to their neighbors. 4 victims have come forward, but the police say there's probably more. Because honestly, who's gonna admit, yeah, I was stealing a bike and then I got beat up? Both suspects were charged and put into jail, but they bailed out after. The neighbors did admit there's also a high crime rate in that neighborhood for some reason. Neighbors that just moved there said their car was broken into like the first day they were there. But let me know what you guys think about the story. Were they right to do this or not?
Most people...
Yeah, but they ain't right or they're in the wrong, man. Because like you said, who's going to come to the cops and be like, yeah, I got beat up because I was stealing the bike? It's like, I guess, all that crime just like push them to the edge, man. They became some vigilantes, bro. The vigilante period, man. Taking the law to their own hands. But they posted it on YouTube and was bragging about it, so they was bound to get caught. But were they in the right or were they in the wrong? That's going to be an interesting topic down below.
People believe these 3 things will save your life. They don't. Let's pretend that you're on vacation with some friends in this cabin, and you hear on the news that there's actually a killer on the loose in the woods surrounding your cabin. What do? Instinctively, you're going to want to ditch your friends and just start running into the woods. No shoes, no weapons, no cell phone, no sense of where you're going. But that's actually a terrible idea because the killer is in the woods, and you'd be putting yourself more in harm's way, not less. So you decide to stay put, and then you remember that your friend drove you all to the cabin in their brand new Lamborghini that was working like 5 minutes ago. So why can't you just pile into that and drive away to safety? The problem with that is anytime you're in a cabin in the woods and there's a killer on the loose around your cabin, even if it's a brand new car, it's not going to start. So don't even go out and try it. You're just sitting in the cabin doing nothing when all of a sudden you feel like someone could be watching you and you want to turn around and make sure no one is. Don't turn around because if you do, the killer will magically appear behind you.
Is that true?
Forbidden live streams. Hi, my name is Ethan, and we're about to be talking about a dark topic. The first live stream ever was made in 1993, and the first crime ever live streamed was in 2008, and that was the Akihabara massacre. But as you guys know, being that the dark web was made in 2000, I'm sure that there was other crimes live streamed long before 2008. Hundreds of crimes featuring murders, R-word, trafficking, SA were all streamed via YouTube, dark web, Facebook, Instagram, and so many more. What is even more chilling about these live streams is some sites, more on the dark web, have an actual membership program, and that's basically where people pay to watch others just be utterly tortured. Needless to say, live streaming as a whole can be a great platform unless it gets into the wrong person's hands.
What's live stream services like that, man? We got a couple, but I think we know, man.
Hana Kobayashi went missing when she was traveling from Hawaii to LA just last month. She was scheduled to be on her connecting flight on November 8th in New York, however she missed it. Days later, after she sent some disturbing texts to her family, she went missing. She went completely off the grid. The weird thing is, right after that, police got a footage of her crossing into the border into Mexico. This is 125 miles away from Los Angeles. And this happened on November 12th, so 4 days after she supposedly missed her flight. A missing persons report was filed. Her family went searching for her as well as authorities and volunteers. Her father flew all the way from Hawaii to LA to join these search efforts. Her father was then found dead in a parking lot in Los Angeles. It was confirmed that he did take his own life. Apparently the stress of losing his daughter Hannah got to him so badly. Hannah was then located about a month later in Mexico after going off the grid. Police are now calling her disappearance as a voluntary disappearance. However, because of this voluntary disappearance and because of the lack of communication between her and her family, this stressed everybody out, especially her father, and this led to the circumstances we're in now. In this case, a simple text from her would have probably saved her father's life if she just told them she was going off the grid. Let me know your thoughts about this story. People are calling for her to be charged on this. Do you agree with that?
Disney princesses without makeup.
Look what happened.
Elsa. Jasmine. Snow White.
When I was a kid, I didn't even think about it, but yeah, but they were wearing makeup.
Tiana.
Black don't crap.
Mulan. Pocahontas. Cinderella. Ariel. Belle.
Belle? What princess is she? I don't know about her. It's definitely, yeah, or edit. Got some creepy vibes off of it, though. Nah, get that kid away from that evil spirit. We don't do that.
People with the most unusual skin color. 1. Lola Chuo. Lola Chuo is a teen with very dark skin and striking doll-like features. 2. Nastya Zhitkova.
Nastya Zhidkova is a Russian model with albinism who has very pale skin and hair. 3. Connie Chu. Connie Chu is the first albino fashion model and is originally from Hong Kong. 4. Ralph Souffrant. Ralph Souffrant is a model from Haiti with very dark skin and natural freckles. 5. Koudia Diop. Koudia Diop is a model from Senegal who has extremely dark skin and is called the Melanin Goddess. 6. Winnie Harlow. Winnie Harlow is a Canadian model with vitiligo, which causes white patches on her skin. 7. Amina Ependieva. Amina Ependieva is a Russian girl with albinism and heterochromia, different colored eyes.
Tight ride.
And you can get out right here.
Oh, she clocking that.
Driver I've ever had.
I'm taking care of business.
Okay. I don't have to hear your whole conversation.
You can get out. I'm gonna end the ride.
I am about to get out. We're at the airport.
That's not what I'm doing in my car. This is getting to be ridiculous. Where's your car?
Oh.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
Rude.
I'm not rude.
Worst Uber driver. You will get 1 star for me.
You think I care about some stars? I'm trying to find out about my car. You talking about some stars?
Just let me out.
But you're in my car. But you're in my car.
Just let me out.
But you're in my car. I can't even talk to the insurance people. They need my information.
Is this how you treat your passengers?
What passenger?
Okay, you can let me out right here.
I'm trying to get my car taken care of. I'm pulling over right now.
Ma'am, please.
You ain't
Okay.
saying nothing. You got your seatbelt on? Yeah, bounce.
I'm glad I got this one. Are you crazy?
No, I'm not.
How do I get out this car? Oh my gosh.
That was
I could
insane.
have hit my head or something. How do I pop the trunk? Can you please pop the trunk? This is crazy. This lady has been on the phone the whole entire time talking. I can't even hear the person I'm on the phone with. Can you pop the trunk, please?
It's a request.
It's a request?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Please.
No. Thank you, though.
Little bit.
No. But thank you for the ride home.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Don't
nice.
worry, please.
No.
Can I touch you on lick? Only lick.
No. No.
Okay, well, he a freak. Talking about, can I lick your leg? Ooh, no. Hey, man, this is making me skeptical, bro. Those lifting Ubers, man.
No. That is so strange. No! Just because you say please. Unlock the door, please. Thank you. No, sorry. No, that's so weird. I already said no like 5 times.
What?
I already said no like 5 times. I said no.
Can you give me contact?
No, absolutely.
The Uber driver.
Can't take an L.
Be careful who you let in your car. A father of 2 disappeared one night after picking up a passenger at 3 o'clock in the morning. Let me explain. This father of 2 was doing Uber for 5 years. He would do Uber at nighttime when he get off of work from his first job. This Uber driver always kept a camera on his windshield for his protection. Somebody accused him of being drunk before, and he never drank a day in his life, and his account was deactivated. So he made sure he always kept a camera. One night at 3 o'clock in the morning, he went to pick someone up. The neighborhood looked very dark and suspicious, and there was a lot of abandoned houses in the neighborhood. When the Uber driver got in the neighborhood, he was going very slow, so you can tell he was a little nervous. At one point, he stopped. It looked like he probably was going to cancel the ride. He went ahead and drove through the neighborhood to pick the passenger up. When he got to the house, it looked abandoned. When the Uber driver got to the house, trash was in the front yard. No lights was on. It just looked very suspicious. The Uber driver waited for about 4 minutes. A guy came running from the back of the house. He had a black hoodie on. When the passenger got in the Uber driver car, he greeted him and said, "How are you tonight?" The passenger didn't make no eye contact with him. He was just looking straight and he ignored him. So the Uber driver drove off and took him to his destination. As the Uber driver was getting closer to the passenger destination, the road was very dark and he didn't see a lot of houses. So the Uber driver then asked the passenger, "Are you sure this is the right address? Because it looked like we're in the middle of nowhere." The passenger then raised his weapon at the Uber driver's head and made him get out the car. That was the last time he was seen alive. 10 minutes later, after the passenger and the Uber driver got out the car, the passenger returned by himself 10 minutes later. When the passenger got back in the car, he ripped his dash camera off. That was the last time anybody seen the car until the car was found abandoned about 2 weeks later. Law enforcement found the Uber driver body almost a month later. He was shot 2 times. If you are Uber or Lyft driver, you need to be very careful. This happened all the time. A woman with 4 kids lost her life the exact same way. She begged for her life on camera and the guy still took her life just to steal her car. Not long ago, a guy with 5 children and a wife lost his life the same way the guy took his life just to steal his Honda Accord.
How come we don't be hearing about that? You'd think that would be like talked about all the time. With Uber or Lyft drivers, see that trending somewhere. Are people hiding these stories? Because this is my first time hearing about it. That's why I searched the freaking web, man, to find these stories, seeking the truth with you guys.
How are you today? Prosecutors played what could be their most compelling evidence against Calvin Crew. 20 minutes of dashcam footage from Christy Spacuzza's Uber, showing the last moments her family will see her alive. Police say this is Calvin Crew getting into the backseat of Spacuzza's Uber. His hood is up and he's wearing an all-black face mask that covers all but his glowing eyes. He sits still, only muttering a word or two. 10 minutes into the ride, Spacuzza cheerfully asks, "Did you have a good day today?" He mumbles, and Spacuzza says, "That's good." 18 minutes into the ride, police say Crew inches to the middle of the back seat and then pulls out a gun, grabs Spacuzza's ponytail, and presses the pistol to the back of her head.
What are you doing? This is a gun. Keep driving. No, it's not. Stop. Come on, man. I got a family. What are you doing? I got a family too. Now drive. What are you doing? Drive. Please stop. Drive the car, miss. I have 4 kids. What are you doing? Drive the car.
When the dashcam footage is ripped off the windshield, the ride doesn't end. What we don't see, police say Christy Spacuzza was forced to drive for another hour while Crew accessed her financial apps like Venmo, PayPal, Dollar Bank, and Square. No. We will never know what Spacuzza went through on the rest of that ride, or how else she tried to fight for her life. But we do know the ending in the video that sadly can never be rewound.
What's her name?
That was chilling, man, truly. People who drive for Uber or Lyft, man, you may not think about it when you're getting into it, but they really risking their lives every single time when they bring in a passenger, because you never know somebody's intentions. She pleaded saying she had a family. He still didn't care. But this is my first time, like, you know, I guess hearing somebody else talk about it.
Guys, my Uber won't leave. I just called the police. He refused to leave. When my sister went out and was like, "Why are you still here?" He was like, "What's your sister's name?" And then she was like, "I'll call the cops." And he put the window up on her. He didn't care. So now he's just chilling.
Wait for the cops. Bro, I'm violent. I can't.
My heart's pounding.
I can't. Like,
don't ask why I'm paranoid. Don't ask why we're worried about some stuff. Oh my god, he's still there. It's been like 15.
Yo, he doesn't give a
He doesn't.
Just sitting there?
What's your sister's name? I was like, I'm not f***ing you. He's like, well, who are you? He's like,
and in the car, he's like, "Oh yeah, this is a Polestar. You can come you can drive it sometime if you want to live in the area." I was like, "No."
Yeah, no thanks.
I don't want to drive your Polestar.
What's up with these Uber drivers being freaks, man?
You go home. 2 days out, bitch. Get the home now. The Sorry, it's okay.
Arguing for the driver.
Keep it up, please. Keep it up.
I will.
Good. Keep it up.
Respect is earned and deserved.
Yeah, and you haven't given none.
Go now, go back.
Respect is earned.
And when are you gonna give some, sir? When?
I'm sick and tired of
I've been in this car for 50 minutes. When have you respected me as a passenger? When? I got in here. I asked you, can you turn your music down? You turned it up even more. Nobody should have to ask you that.
You feel so entitled.
Yes, I feel entitled because I'm a passenger.
You're passenger, but this is.
And this is
my
your
car.
job.
It's not my job.
It's your job.
It's my car.
Be fucking
I can kick
professional.
you out of the car anytime I want to.
Guess what?
I don't work for
Then
anybody.
you do whatever you need to do.
I don't work for anybody. I work for myself.
Okay. Keep on.
No,
keep
I
on,
can
keep
kick you
on.
out of. It's my car.
Okay.
Please, she's not wise. Don't be quarreling with her, please. Just go. Go
You
like this.
black
Take the
Americans, you feel
next-
so entitled. Over what?
the next
What
right.
the?
Lazy ass.
Ooh, yes, yep.
Go get some job. You like to live on welfare. My tax money is taking care of you equally if you don't know. That fool.
Oh, he trying to cook. She ain't going for it.
Yep.
If you're dealing with other persons, don't talk that shit with me. I'll kick your ass. I don't even kick you
like this.
physically.
The first right.
My God. You're crazy.
The first right, yeah.
See, I'm on the phone. I'm following the GPS. And that's what the GPS is telling me to do.
And I asked you while you on the phone to make a left turn.
I am following
If
the
you
GPS.
wasn't,
And I was
so
right.
what? The
I was
GPS
right.
is wrong sometimes. That's why I'm up and paying attention so I can tell you which way to go.
If you have different issues, I'm not responsible for it. If you have issues, I'm not responsible for it.
But please, no. You pick a patient from the hospital. All this is not right. Please.
Where am I? What was that? Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I just had a nightmare. Just please get me home. Dude, get out! Are you serious?
Hey demon, play this game. The game is called the Closet Game. To start the game, take a box of matches and go to your bedroom. Then turn off all the lights and make sure you're in complete darkness. After that, open your closet door and step inside and shut the door. Then stand in the darkness for approximately 2 minutes, facing the door. Then take one match out of the box and hold it in front of you and say, "Show me light or leave me in darkness." Now listen very carefully. If you begin hearing faint whispering, light the match immediately. But if you don't hear anything and the match does not ignite on its own, then turn around. If you don't light the match fast enough after hearing the faint whispering, you will then feel something grab you from behind, and you will then be dragged into eternal darkness by the demon. And whatever you do, do not stop playing the game once you begin.
The facts that you probably didn't know
I never
that
played
one
that.
day could save your life. Part 14. Ticks are way deadlier than people say they are. Lyme disease can quite literally stop your heart. If you get bitten, take it off immediately and go see a doctor. If you hear a baby crying outside, keep your door shut and dial 911. It's a trap. Drowning doesn't look like drowning. When someone is drowning, they rarely cry out, can't wave their arms around, and will often just bob in and out of the water while gasping for air. If you're trying to see if a mirror is two-sided, put your nail against the glass. If there's no gap between your nail and the reflection, run. If someone is stumbling around and sounds drunk but hasn't had any alcohol, ask them to smile. If one side of their face is drooping, get them to the hospital. They're having a stroke. There's a monument in Georgia that functions as a calendar, clock, and a compass. It also has instructions on it in different languages on how to rebuild society after an apocalypse.
Why the heck is that standing there? Who put that up? That last one got to me, man. If an apocalypse happens, where we having instructions on how to rebuild humanity, it seems like people in the past, they already knew the future was going to be doomed. That's a shame, man.
Here are facts you didn't know that one day could save your life. If you're ever buried in rubble, yelling will only waste your energy. Look for something to grab and tap in intervals of 3, and rescuers will notice this strange pattern. If a tornado looks like it's standing still, this means it's actually moving towards you. If your drink randomly smells like cinnamon, don't drink it. People often use it to cover up the scent of actual poison. If your house ever smells like fish for no reason, 9 times out of 10, it's because there's an electrical fire. If you ever wake up to the smell of gas, don't turn on a light. A spark from the light switch could blow up your entire house. Lying flat on your back is the best way to survive a falling elevator. If your hair suddenly stands up, duck and cover because you're about to be struck by lightning. If you ever fall off the edge onto the tracks, don't try and crawl back up. There's a crawl space built to go underneath in case this happens. If you ever get kidnapped into the back of a vehicle, disconnect the brake light wire so the cops will pull them over, then kick on the door to let them know that you're there.
Those are facts, man. We need to know. I hope y'all wrote those down, man. There were some of those will save your life.
The creepiest places in the world.
Talk about it.
Lake Natron, Tanzania.
Due to high levels of salt contents, everything that touches the lake turns to pure stone.
Hello, my friend. That is not accurate. Lake Natron is a mineral-rich lake in Tanzania. Despite its high pH levels, it has some animals that live in it, including the Alclepia fish. The misconception that it turns anything that touches it to stone comes from these photographs.
So it's cat.
Basically, animals pass away for whatever reason, fall into the water, and become like mummified. A photographer found such animals at Lake Natron, but placed them in a position so they look like they're alive for the sake of the photo, which led to some awesome results. Also, this lake is actually where flamingos go to mate. If you're there at the right time, you will see millions.
I never knew that, bro.
Phone numbers you should never call, part 15. This is the first phone number. This phone number was a human experiment during the World War II. They designed specific sentences to test how sound affected people in negative ways. So when you call this number, you will hear those sentences, which sound like a disturbing poem, recited by both male and female voices. This is the next phone number. If you call this phone number after midnight, you will be granted a wish. Once they pick up the phone, you just have to whisper your wish, but there will be a price. And the price is that you will be killed after some time. This is the next phone number. This type of numbers are extremely popular in Japan, and they allow you to talk with your doppelganger. And it is said that it can be a death curse. This is the next phone number. This is Murray's phone number from Stranger Things. When you call this number, you will first hear Murray yelling about his mother. Then he'll talk to Joyce and finally leave a disturbing message to you. This is the last phone number. This is the SCP number. When you call it, a voicemail will inform you that you have reached the SCP Foundation, and it will instruct you to leave the date, time, location, and a description of any incidents that you may have witnessed.
Unsolved mysteries that will make your skin crawl. In early August 1963, 4-year-old Bobby Pankin and his family went on a hike in Washington State. There was a trail that led down to a waterfall that Bobby's mom wanted him and his brothers to see. And so, she set off down the trail with her 3 boys, and their father stayed behind. As they headed down the trail, it became apparent that not many people ever went down this path. The forest was super dense and it was hard to see where to go. But once they found the waterfall, 4-year-old Bobby didn't really want to go down the hill to see it. And so his mother told their middle brother to stay behind with him. Bobby's brother didn't really want to babysit him while his mom and their older brother were down exploring the waterfall. And so after a couple of minutes, he decided to leave Bobby behind and go explore. Their mother was mad, and when they went back up the trail to find Bobby, he was gone. They searched and yelled out his name, but there wasn't any reply. Police conducted a 7-day search for Bobby, and they couldn't find anything. Nothing, not even blood was left behind. And after almost 60 years, the mystery has never been solved. What do you think happened?
They just took the
One of the most scariest things, man. One of my most feared things, bro, is just like going out somewhere and just disappearing off the face of the earth. No contact, your family can't find you, nothing. That always gets me, seekers. Be careful where you out, man. You never know what could happen.
Annabelle doll out of her case again. Hey, you know this doll said to be one of the most haunted dolls in reported history? So demonic that even looking at her can have you cursed. The craziest part is the last person who touched her and was leaving the museum was driving their car and swore they saw Annabelle in the backseat, causing them to lose complete control of their car and almost losing their lives. Just after touching the case, not the doll itself. But I guess my $1,000,000 question is, how is this wooden box keeping this demonic presence in? I understand that the box itself is blessed. Then my other question is, why are we moving the doll? Why are we trying to take it and put it in a new spot? You're just giving the doll opportunities. Now I'm gonna be honest, to the worker, to the person who's more or less risking their life taking this doll and putting it in a new case, you deserve a raise. Because even wearing gloves is not enough. Or are the Annabelle movies lying about how powerful she is? Because if a wooden box is able to keep this demonic presence in for so long, and have more or less no problems with it, and be able to be moved from box to box, is the Annabelle spirit actually that strong? Now me personally, I'm not going to test that theory. You cannot pay me enough to go and touch the Annabelle doll, let alone go see her. It's just not going to happen. It's just not something I'm going to do. In the Annabelle movies, she is the most powerful demon we've ever seen. But then in real life, we just have normal people moving here with no problem. Is she actually that haunted? I don't really know.
Yeah, he deserves a raise for moving that dog, because I would be like, no! Move it? No!
Crazy
That ain't
things happening in the world right now. This 6-year-old from the UK had her passport denied because she had the same name as a Game of Thrones character. An American Airlines flight made an emergency landing after some passengers noticed lice in another passenger's hair. A driver plowed into this woman's yard and then offered her $50,000 to not call the police. This Olympian's gold medal that he received in Paris this summer is already deteriorating. Disneyland offered a $69 ticket for their 69th anniversary this year to Anaheim residents only. A snake bit this man, so he decided to bite the snake back twice. The snake died and the man lived. Drugs were found disguised as Taco Bell burritos during a routine traffic stop in Tennessee. Microplastics were found in every human semen sample that was tested in a recent study. A recent investigation found that between January 2020 and October 2020, 1/3 of all misinformation posted on X was generated by 10 users from the US and UK.
That's a damn shame.
Their baby unattended for up to 2 weeks. Viewers' discretion is strongly advised. In 2014, Zachary Cohen met Cheyenne Harris, and a year later they had a daughter together. In 2016, Cheyenne became pregnant again, and Zachary had influenced her to use drugs even though she was pregnant. Cheyenne quickly became addicted, and she gave birth to a premature baby in the bathtub. Zachary started to have doubts if this was even his child because people were telling him that this child did not resemble him at all. On August 30th of 2017, Zachary came home from work. He made some food for his daughter, and he went straight to his bed without checking on his baby, Sterling. Around 11 a.m., Cheyenne came to tell him that their son had died. Zachary went into Sterling's bedroom to touch his forehead, and that is when he realized that Sterling was ice cold and there was blood coming from his mouth. Zachary called 911, and the autopsy revealed that Sterling's cause of death was homicide. He died from dehydration, malnutrition, and infection. Sterling had been left in a baby swing for up to 2 weeks. He sat in a diaper filled with feces, and he had a diaper rash so severe that it led to development of open wounds on his skin. And because of this, E. coli bacteria from the feces entered his bloodstream. Poor baby Sterling had crawling maggots on his skin, in his diaper, his clothes, and even on the swing. Zachary claimed that he never changed Sterling's diaper because he had a very weak stomach and that it was Cheyenne's job. It appeared that the couple cared for their daughter, but for some reason they neglected Sterling. 1-day-old diaper is going to be noticeable, so there's no way that they did not smell that heavy odor for up to 2 weeks. They simply just chose to ignore it. October 25th of 2017, both Zachary and Cheyenne were arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Both have been found guilty and have been sentenced to life in prison. This case truly breaks my heart, and baby Sterling deserved better than this.
There might not be any animal alive with more aura than a black Air Force bull cut weasel. This is Stoffel the honey badger, one of the biggest menaces to walk the earth. You see, Stoffel had a problem. Shout out to Zev, y'all Senegal. Moving on up. Stoffel lived in the Mahala Hala Wildlife Center in South Africa, but the African bush ferret was like IBS. You can't stop him, you can only pray to contain him. Stoffel was a four-legged force of nature that escaped every single time. But there's a twist, remind me to tell you. Stoffel would often get out, break into the kitchen, and the same biracial badger that could 3v1 lions would chase kitchen staff around and then help himself to free food. Speaking of lions, one day Stoffel got into the lion den and nearly got mauled into an early life retirement, costing him 2 months in the hospital. First thing the monochrome crash out did when he got better was immediately try to get it back in blood. At one point, Stoffel ran a fade with a tawny eagle. That's a tawny eagle, and won, no foul. Stoffel climbed a tree and got out, so they removed all the trees next to walls. He broke off a branch, dragged it to a wall, and climbed out again, so they got rid of the trees. Stoffel stacked rocks high enough and Andy Dufresne his way out, so out went the rocks. So then Stoffel made mud balls, rolled them to the wall, and emancipated himself again. At some point, someone left a rake. Guess what the felony ferret did? At one point, they tried giving Stoffel a girlfriend named Hammy, and he proceeded to use her as a footstool to unlock his gate, so Bonnie done met her Clyde. One time, he broke into his keeper's house at night through a window. He didn't hurt anybody, but sometimes you gotta pop out and show ninjas. You remember that twist I promised? It was all a game. He had no intentions of ever leaving. He was hand-raised by humans as a baby and imprinted on people. He wasn't going nowhere. Yeah, this dusty Oreo otter was memeing the entire time, and I checked. He's still alive. He's pushing 26 and lost most of his teeth, but at least he has Hammy to chew it for him. Yeah, Stoffel got it.
Yeah, he does, bro. He definitely had Black Air Force energy, man. He was a menace, bro. What are the fees with lions?
The most advanced Tesla phone product of this century, owned by Elon Musk, branded Pi, is due to be launched in late 2024. The Pi phone has 3 outstanding features that other smartphones don't have. No need to charge the battery, as it uses solar power. It only needs light to charge automatically. No need to expose it to sunlight. No internet capability is needed, because Pi connects directly to Elon Musk's Starlink, which has a global coverage network. Thanks to Dr. Nicholas Koukoulis, the patent holder of Pi, and one of the CEOs of a company owned by one of the richest people in the world. Does it sound too good to be true? It will cost only $100. Now that's cheap. If you like this video, hit the like button and let me know what you think.
What angel?
That does sound too good to be true, bro. No need to charge. The internet's free. That's only $100. It has to come with a cost, something like that, man. I learned that early in life. If it sounds too good to be true, there's a hidden cost behind it. Remember that, Seekers.
Actually look like.
This is what angels actually look like, part 2. Today we're talking about the cherubim, aka the Chimera angel. And by the way, this is not a cherubim. The cherubim have 4 faces. The face of a human, the face of an ox, the face of a lion, and the face of an eagle. They have the body of a lion, the feet of an ox, and their 4 wings are covered in eyes. And when they fly, they emit balls of lightning and fire, which is convenient because they're essentially heaven's bodyguards. When Adam and Eve were kicked out of the Garden of Eden, God placed a cherubim with a rotating fire sword at the garden's entrance, just in case Adam wanted the smoke, and they literally guard the throne of God. By the way, the reason why we think this is a cherubim today is because the Catholic Church didn't want to scare people away from Christianity during Renaissance Italy.
Here's what to do if you drop your phone in the toilet. First, get your phone out as soon as possible and dry the outside with something like a towel. Then power off your phone completely so you avoid short-circuiting it. Now, if you have an iPhone, take out the SD card on the side, but if you have a phone that lets you remove the battery, do that to allow more airflow so it can dry better. If you can, use a vacuum to suck up the water, but if not, tilt your phone side to side to allow the water to drop out. You may be thinking, Blue, what about putting it in rice?
Yeah.
Well, studies showed that the best and quickest way to dry your phone is to let it air dry with good air circulation.
This man went to hell for 23 minutes. Listen to how he describes the demons he saw in hell.
I was standing beneath this tunnel, like cavern walls that were ascending upward. And all along the cavern walls were demons. Some were only 2 and 3 feet tall. Some were 12 and 13 feet tall. But every one of them were twisted and deformed and grotesque. The most hideous looking creatures. And I noticed there were snakes crawling all over everything. And then I looked and I was standing on a bed of maggots, just solid maggots crawling all over everything and everybody. But remember, Jesus said, where their worm dies not and the fire is not quenched. And he used the word maggot. And Isaiah 14:11 says, where the maggot will be spread under thee and the worm will cover thee.
This is no joke. Hell is a real place. Repent of your sins today and turn to Jesus so you never go there.
Do you guys think, Seekers, did he experience that, man? Like I said, you can't count out people's experiences, so that's what he said he saw. There can be some truth behind it, man. He actually went there, so did something happen to him and he came back to tell us the truth about what he saw?
Once again, when you talk about aura, you better speak on this bear. This is the boss. That's his name, no relation. He's a 700-pound walking boulder of a bear and an anime plot device in a grizzly's body. The boss has been recorded catching, murking, and eating multiple black bears. In fact, one of the first times he was ever seen was next to an expired bear, and officials had to close down the trail until the boss was done eating it. At one point, the boss hit a train and was tragically put down. The train, I mean. Oh, you didn't hear me. I said the bear hit the train. Boss ate that like it was nothing. He even shows up to the same tracks just to eat the animals that weren't strong enough to survive what he walked off. As mentioned, Boss was roughly the size of 2 prime shacks. As a whole plus-size predator, he was and is the biggest bear in the area, and it's believed he fathered more than 70% of all the bears in the area code. Mind you, he's believed to be up to 27 years old. Hey, twins, when the average male grizzly bear lives to 25. Which means by the time getting jumped, this bear on a LeBron type of run. And you know a bear that survived a literal train barely second-guesses cars, and the boss regularly crosses high-speed highways. It's anime plot armor with predatory hardware. The boss even has his own antagonist. That would be this guy, Split Lip. They've been running things for years, and they've been in the same area for 15, so this beef may have marinated for over a decade. But I don't think Boss has taken an L yet. Boss from Bam better put some respect on the OG original Grizzly.
Places you should never swim, part 1. Firstly, the boiling lake of Dominica. What makes it so dangerous is the boiling magma under the surface. It's so hot that swimming in it would burn all the skin off your body. Jacob's Well is a lake located in Texas. It's so clear that you can see right to the bottom. But if you ever swam down here, you wouldn't make it out alive. The lake is filled with hidden caves, so finding a way out would be nearly impossible. Finally, the Nile River. It's filled with crocodiles everywhere that could kill you. And if you somehow escape the crocodiles, you'll have to get through snakes. And as you try to get out, you'll run into at least 15 venomous...
Oof. I ain't even... I'll write that on my list.
There is a huge difference between angels in Islam and Christianity. And that difference is free will. You see, Islam and Christianity are both considered Abrahamic religions. They do share a lot in common. And so both religions speak of angels. Angels in Islam were created from light with the sole purpose of obeying God. In fact, they are incapable of committing sins, as they have no free will. In Christianity, angels are capable of sinning. In fact, many that have disobeyed the will of God have been banished from the heavens and are referred to as fallen angels. Which brings us to another very big difference. The devil in Christianity is understood to be a fallen angel. He's referred to as Lucifer. Now, but in Islam, the devil, or shaitan, is actually a jinn. And I'll discuss what a jinn is very soon.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. A nursing assistant said that she was in a long-term patient's room changing the sheets. The patient would periodically look behind her. She asked the patient what was wrong, and the patient looked in her eyes and asked, "He doesn't scare you?" The nurse was confused, and she asked her who she was referring to, and the patient said, "The big man in the top hat. He's standing right behind you." She said that she doesn't think that she has ever finished changing a bed sheet and repositioning a patient as fast as she did that night. She refused to go into that room by herself for the rest of her shift. Linda Johnson, a former nurse, said that she had a gentleman in his late 90s who was dying. He started screaming blood-curdling screams, so they raced to his room. He was screaming that the room was on fire and that there was a man with large horns peering out of the flames. He kept pointing to one wall, saying that it was on fire. The nurses turned on the lights and tried to calm and console him, but to no avail. Instead of being consoled, Linda said that he told her that she was on fire and that he could see her being consumed by flames. Linda said that it was the creepiest thing that has ever happened to her. The doctor was notified, but nothing relieved the patient's terrifying hallucinations. He died soon after. Cynthia said that several years ago, her 20-year-old daughter had brain surgery. She got an infection of the spinal fluid. She was there in grave condition for a month. Cynthia never left her daughter's side. One night, the worst night at this point, she asked who the man in black was that was standing by the bathroom and why Cynthia's deceased brother, the girl's uncle, was standing next to her at the side of the bed. Cynthia immediately got the chills. She told her daughter, "They're not here." Then she told her brother and the man in the black, whom she couldn't see, "You both have to go now. She's not ready to go and I'm not ready to let her go." After that night, her daughter started to get better and better each day. Today, her daughter is doing well.
Weird story.
It makes in 15 seconds and then add 40, you get the temperature of the environment in degrees Fahrenheit, which is really interesting. Also, we genetically modified a few goats to produce spider silk in their milk. So if you skim the top of the milk, it's covered in spider silk, which is actually really useful because spider silk is one of the strongest materials that we have access to, at least under tension. It's not like good under compression or anything like that, but it's stronger than Kevlar under tension. If you were an insect, I think that you'd have a lot more respect for how truly terrifying some insects are, like dragonflies or ladybugs, or especially praying mantises. But I think ladybugs in particular have like this, cutesy little image by like us humans, but like they're like alpha predators. They kill like thousands of bugs in a single lifetime, you know? And dragonflies would especially be terrifying, especially dragonfly nymphs, which is a weird way to think of things, but the dragonfly nymphs are way more deadly than adult dragonflies. They just happen to be really small and only live in the water, and because we're big and not an aquatic insect, we don't really recognize them as the terrifying predators they are. But I think they deserve more respect. Praying mantises too, although I think praying mantises do already kind of get more respect as like the vicious predators they are, but I just think they're all so cool, you know? They're so tough and small.
Her arms were cut off, and somehow she was still able to escape and survive.
Whoa.
Mrs. Mary Vincent, she was born in 1963 and was living in Las Vegas, Nevada. Mary's parents were going through a very messy divorce, and she decided that she wanted to hitchhike to her grandfather's home in Berkeley, California. Once Mary was in Berkeley with her grandfather, she started to become homesick and decided that she was going to hitchhike back. Eventually, she came across Lawrence Singleton, and he offered her a ride. Mary accepted the ride from Lawrence because he seemed like a sweet old man, but once he started going the wrong way, she grew suspicious of him. Mary starts to have this gut feeling that something is wrong, and she's trying to think of ways that she can escape from Lawrence when he knocks her unconscious with his sledgehammer. Once Mary had regained consciousness, Lawrence had tied her up and essayed her. Mary is now pleading with Vincent to please let her go, and she will not say anything, and he replies to her saying, "You want to be set free? Don't worry, I'll set you free," and he chops off both of her arms. He then throws her down a cliff, stuffs her in a cement cylinder, drives off, and leaves her for dead. Somehow Mary was able to survive the fall and climb back up the cliff despite her injuries. Since Mary was bleeding out, she was able to dip the stumps of her forearms in mud and help them up to slow down the bleeding. Mary was walking along Interstate 5 for about 3 miles until she was able to get the attention of a couple who was able to get her medical help. As soon as Mary was in the hospital, she immediately worked with police to help identify and find her attacker, and she even postponed her sleep to make a sketch of what her attacker looked like. Once Lawrence was arrested, Mary testified in court, and he even told her in front of everybody that once he was out of prison, he was going to finish her. Lawrence was sentenced to 14 years in prison, and after 8 years, he was free. Since Lawrence was out of the world again, he did not learn his lesson. He attacked a mother of 3 and then took her life. Mary ended up testifying against him once again, and he was sentenced to death. Before he could be executed, he ended up dying.
Where is your body? Let's find out. About 75% of people have a deviated septum, and this is a condition in which the bone and cartilage that divide the nose in half are crooked, making one nasal passage smaller than the other, and it's known to cause nosebleeds, problems breathing, or loud breathing when you're sleeping. Less than 1% of people have an extra finger crease, and it's also called camptodactyly, and it's just when you have an extra little ridge on your fingers, and it is most common on your pinky. Less than 1% of people have an eyeball scar. This is also called a macular pucker, and it's just scar tissue that forms in your eye. And it's known to cause blurred or distorted vision. And it's caused when the vitreous, which is the gel-like part of your eye, starts to pull away from the retina. Less than 1% of people can hear colors or see sounds. For example, this could happen as soon as someone hears a sound, they automatically see the color red, or as soon as they read a word, a certain color pops into their mind. About 33% of people experience motion sickness, and this 33% are highly susceptible to motion sickness, while the rest just experience it in extreme conditions. And it's caused when your brain starts to get signals from your body that it's moving, but they're mismatched and don't match up.
You were today years old when you found this out. When you see an alligator's head popping out of the water, they're not floating, they're actually standing up. If you're ever in an elevator and someone pushes all the buttons, just press each button twice to avoid going to those floors. I was today years old when I realized Toad from Mario isn't actually a mushroom, it's just a hat. The flap on your fries box actually has a purpose. You can put your sauce there to dip your fries in. Did you know there's actually a use for the back of the toothbrush? It's supposed to be used to clean your tongue. Okay, there are giant clouds in space filled with alcohol. And I was today years old when I realized that Subway Surfers was a game a dad created in memory of his son that died while skating in the train tracks.
Wow, I never knew that about Subway Surfers. That's an OG game.
Morbid Facts, Part 6. This photo from 1954 shows 2 little Australian boys playing in a sandbox full of asbestos. This was during a time when very little was known about the effects of asbestos on humans, as both boys eventually died from mesothelioma before the age of 40. Archaeologists working at the ancient Roman city of Pompeii, Italy, uncovered the remains of a 30-year-old man who appeared to have survived the initial eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD, only to be killed when he was struck by a large slab of stone. The lowest form of accommodation in Victorian England was a place where you could dangle over a rope overnight for the price of a penny. For centuries, the feet of Chinese women were tightly bound from a young age as part of a traditional custom. causing the breaking and bending of the toe and foot bones. This resulted in extremely disfigured feet that resembled the hooves of animals. In 1963, 2 criminal scammers in Mexico convinced an entire village that they were prophets and demanded tribute and worship. They soon paid prostitute Magdalena Solis to imitate an Incan goddess as part of the scam. Suffering from religious delusion, she started to genuinely believe that she was a goddess. Magdalena soon took over the village and started sacrificing her followers and drinking their blood.
So it turns out the Annabelle doll was not missing, was never going to Chicago, and is supposedly back home where she belongs in the Warrens Museum.
Annabelle is not missing. Annabelle is back home in the museum.
And that's all according to Ryan, who's either the new owner or the new caretaker of the Annabelle doll, who decided to take her on tour, even saying in his video that they are going to continue the tour. They're just not going to disclose where they're going yet. But you would think after this happened, and 10 prisoners escaping around the same time, we should want to keep her where she's supposed to be. But I don't see how the narrative is fake that she went missing. It was absolutely everywhere, meaning that all of these other places that had it posted were just lying. Or were they? Because I personally think that she did go missing. I personally think that she was stolen and they were able to get her back. Or they're just not telling us something. Because this narrative would never have gone so big if there was an immediate response. Which, like I said, gets me to think that something definitely happened on the way back to bringing her to the Warrens Museum. Now look, like I said, the last place she was supposed to be was in Texas, and that was a couple days ago. And supposedly her Heiress World Tour is going to continue after she takes a little bit of a pit stop back at the Warrens Museum. I don't trust it.
Neither do I. I think, like you said, I think she really did go missing. They just managed to get her back. Because everybody was talking about that. All that stuff happening too. That wasn't a coincidence. Couldn't be.
Imagine being held captive for more than 20 years, but then while you sit there and realize that no one is coming to save you, you set the house on fire and you're finally free. That's exactly what happened to now a 32-year-old man who was held captive in his room since the age 11. When he was found by police, he was extremely malnourished, weighing only 68 pounds, which is insane for a 32-year-old. It was said that at one point he attended school like a normal kid, but then he was pulled out and he was homeschooled, but eventually he just never left the house again. So on February 17th at approximately 8:42 p.m., 56-year-old Kimberly Sullivan called police and said that her house was on fire. When police arrived, they found a 32-year-old man in horrible living conditions, and he told police that he intentionally set his bedroom on fire because he's been held captive since he was 11 and wanted to be free. He then said that his father, who died a year ago, let him out of the room for longer periods of time, but after his death, it was just him and his stepmother, Kimberly Sullivan. He told police that DSF visited the home when he was a child after people were concerned over his weight and that he was stealing food and eating things out of the garbage. But at the time when DSF spoke to him, he said that he was forced to say that everything was fine because his stepmom and father threatened to not feed him. Kimberly was arrested, but she pleaded not guilty, and her defense as of right now is that she has nothing to do with this and it was all her husband who passed away. Now, the worst part, which really pissed me off, is that this woman was released on bail. She's wearing an ankle monitor, but she's out. She's walking free after this man endured so much abuse for the last 20 years.
I have an update on the model in Dubai that was found on the side of the road with her spine and limbs broken near a construction site. Ukrainian authorities have now launched a sex trafficking probe into Dubai, trying to figure out if she was sex trafficked. That's what they believe happened to her so far. She was there for modeling. She's an OF model, so they believe that the two men kind of coerced her to come there so they could traffic her. Dubai police are saying her injuries are a result of a fall from the construction site. Maybe the men took her up there and then pushed her off. Maybe it's not true. Maybe it's a cover-up. Last time I talked about her a week or two ago, she underwent 3 operations to save her life. She just went under a 4th one, and she's now in stable condition instead of critical condition. A lot of people thought she was at a porta potty event. For those that don't know what that is, buckle up when I tell you this. A porta potty event is when IG influencers get invited to Dubai to undergo basically like humiliation. Wealthy men basically will buy out somebody to humiliate them. They'll do whatever. It's really disgusting. That made headlines about a year ago. That's not confirmed if she was at that kind of event or not, but it is speculated. No suspects have been identified right now, but I will keep you guys updated as the probe and investigation continues. What are your opinions on this story?
That's crazy that somebody would literally buy a person just to humiliate them. The porta potty event? I don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole. That sounds disturbing.
The world's most immoral bird. It's the cuckoo bird, and you're gonna hate them after what I'm gonna tell you. Cuckoo birds abandon their eggs in the nests of other birds in hopes that they will fool them into raising the cuckoo bird as one of their own, and they never come back. And cuckoo birds know it can be suspicious if there's just an extra egg sitting in the nest when the mother bird comes back, so that's why they'll normally grab one and throw it out of the nest so there's the same amount. And you're probably thinking, well, won't it be obvious the egg will just be different looking, a different color, different size? Nope. Cuckoos have the ability to mimic the color and pattern of their host's eggs like these. So when the mother, the host, comes back to the nest, they don't suspect anything. And it gets crazier. The cuckoo egg hatches before the other eggs because of science reasons I'm not going to get into. And this is important because when the baby's born, when the mother goes out of the nest, the baby bird just being born will put the other eggs on its back and push them out of the nest so it is the only one left. And the goal is to claim all of the food and attention for itself, and when the mother comes back to the nest, it will continue to raise it and feed it as one of its own, even though it's a little bit bigger than the mother.
This is one of the saddest stories I've ever heard. This is Maryanne Bevan. The world labeled her as the ugliest woman in the world, but no one ever stopped to ask who she really was. She was just a mother, fighting to survive. Mary was once a nurse in England. She was a beautiful woman, but everything changed after her husband, Thomas Bevan, died in 1914. Soon after, she began to show signs of a rare condition called acromegaly, a disorder that caused her face and body to grow and distort painfully. People were staring at her all the time. Even the doctors weren't able to help. She had no money, she had no help, and she had to feed 4 of her children. Mary entered a contest, the Ugliest Woman in the World contest, and she won. Not out of pride, out of necessity. After that, she joined a circus to make some money. She stood on stage and she was laughed at. She was mocked, but she held it in. She endured it, all of it, because all the money she made went to her children. Mary endured cruelty for her children's future. Maryanne Bevan was never ugly. She was brave, and her sacrifice was the most beautiful thing about her.
Let's see if you have arachnophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. Try your best to make it through all 5. Let's start the test. First one. Here's another. Feeling uneasy?
I'm cool.
Keep going. Last one. So how did you do? Did you make it through all 5? If not, then you could have arachnophobia, which is the fear of spiders. Let me know if you have arachnophobia in the comments below. Hit the plus sign and follow me to see if you can make it through the next phobia test.
I'm cool, but we still don't mess with spiders. That's a no. Y'all know we don't do spiders over here, man. I'm cool watching them on video, but in person, no.
In May of 1979, David Booth, an office worker from Ohio, experienced a series of vivid nightmares over 10 consecutive nights. In these dreams, he saw a large American Airlines jet attempting to take off on a bright sunny day. As the plane accelerated down the runway, he sensed that something was wrong with the engine's sound. Suddenly, the aircraft lifted off, banked sharply, and crashed into a fiery explosion, leaving him overwhelmed with a profound sense of despair. Troubled by the reoccurring nature of these dreams, Booth contacted the FAA to report his concerns. He spoke with Jack Barker, the FAA's public affairs director, who found Booth to be sincere and coherent. However, without specific details like a flight number or an exact location, there was little the FAA could do. On May 25th, 1979, American Airlines Flight 191 crashed shortly after takeoff from Chicago's O'Hare International Airport. The left engine separated from the wing, causing the aircraft to lose control and crash, killing all 271 people on board and 2 individuals on the ground. The crash mirrored the sequence of events that Booth had described in his nightmare. This tragic accident remains the deadliest aviation accident in U.S. history. Booth's experience has since been cited in discussions about precognitive phenomenon and the mysteries of the human consciousness.
It's you were taught that you probably still believe. Number 1, that cracking your knuckles will cause arthritis. While cracking your knuckles might sound and look damaging, it does not cause arthritis. That loud pop that you hear when you crack your knuckles is caused by bubbles bursting in your synovial fluid, and the bubbles pop when you pull the bones apart. Blood in your veins is blue. If you look down at your arm, you can probably see your veins and see they look blue. However, your blood is not actually blue in your veins. Blood is either red or dark red, but never blue. Your veins look blue because of your skin. Blue light does not penetrate human tissue as deeply as red light does, and as a result, veins that are close to the surface of the skin will be more likely to reflect blue light back to your eyes. You can hear the sound of the ocean in shells. This is a myth. The sound you hear when you put a shell against your ear has nothing to do with it being from the ocean. It's actually part of the background noise around you, just turned up a little bit by the shell. So if you're next to the ocean, the shell picks up the sound of the ocean. The alpha wolf. There's actually no such thing as an alpha wolf. This idea was brought about in a paper from the 1970s, but the author later said in a paper that he rejected the idea of an alpha wolf. While it's true that multiple wolves who share a small space in captivity will develop alpha and beta-like hierarchies, wild wolves behave nothing like this. In the wild, a wolf pack is typically formed by monogamous parents and their puppies, and the wolf pack is basically a tightly knit family consisting of parents or breeders and their offspring, not an alpha and beta.
Insane things happening right now. Reportedly, the Menendez brothers could be out of jail within 2 weeks now. Now, this has, of course, been going on for some time now. They said they'd be home before Thanksgiving, and it didn't happen. But representation and the hearings are set to start, so it could happen soon. This Air Force veteran has come forward with claims that he helped retrieve a UFO by the US government. Said he saw these crazy bright lights and then was ordered to, well, retrieve it. The story's just breaking, but I'll keep you posted. Now, this is insane, but classified CIA documents have come out that stated back in the 1900s, people traveled to Mars using astral projection. I mean, I don't even know what to say about those headlines, it's mad. In the UK, a new digital ID is set to come into place. Set to introduce digital IDs, taking away the physical cards that you carry around and putting it onto a government server. A woman was left screaming in immense pain after leaving a you-know-what toy inside her during an MRI scan. Her, along with many other people, have now issued warnings to not do this, but I mean, why would you?
Here are the weirdest and most unbelievable creatures to ever wash up on the beach, part 2. First, in 2016, a group of fishermen stumbled across this huge 176-pound smelly thing that looked a lot like a rock. At first, they didn't think much of it, but shockingly, it was actually whale vomit, which is used to formulate luxury fragrances. Which means whale vomit can be sold at very high prices. This 176-pound chunk of the stuff was valued at $3 million.
Damn.
Next, in July of 2018, this creature that looks like a demon was found washed up on the shores of Montauk, New York. Supposedly, the creepy-looking carcass for some reason wasn't available for autopsy as it was carted away by an unknown group of people. Many have speculated it might be the mutant product of experimentation at the controversial Plum Island Animal Disease Center, which is near where the creature
lives with his dog, who is really just a man in a dog suit. Let's talk about the movie Good Boy. The film starts off with a guy named Christian and his dog. Obviously, this is not a real dog, and it's just a guy who dresses up as one. Christian is on a dating app hoping to meet someone, and that's when he comes across a girl named Sigrid. Once they're on their date, it seems like they're hitting it off pretty well. Sigrid is in school to become a psychologist, and Christian is just rich. They end up going back to Christian's home, which was inherited by his parents. They end up being intimate with each other, and Christian's dog is just watching. The next morning, Sigrid wakes up after spending the night and sees the dog just staring at them. She ends up freaking out and just leaving. She ends up telling her friend about this awful experience, and her friend convinces her to give him another chance since he's rich. When she goes back to see Christian, she is formally introduced to his dog, Frank. He tells her that she must treat him as a dog at all times or something bad can happen. Frank is going all crazy, like jumping on Sigrid, and Christian is feeling embarrassed. Christian was his only friend growing up, and he wanted to be there for him for whatever he wanted to do. The three end up going on a cabin trip, and Sigrid is told to give up her phone because she's on it too much. Once Christian leaves the room, Frank tells Sigrid that they need to leave because Christian is actually crazy. Sigrid and Frank end up going on a walk alone and they are trying to come up with a plan to leave. The only thing that Sigrid can do is attack Christian while he's asleep or they will be stuck. Christian gives Sigrid a drink which is spiked and it causes her to pass out. When she wakes up, Christian plays her an audio and it's her talking with Frank about a plan to escape. Frank then bites Christian and Sigrid attempts to take the keys. She is unable to escape, so she goes back to Frank and Christian and hits Christian with a stick. He ends up doing the same thing to her and she passes out with Frank. Some time goes on and Frank is in a cage and Christian is giving him food. Cut to Sigrid and she is in a completely different room. She's dressed as a dog and acting like a dog. As Christian is preparing food, he places it on the floor and a child dressed in a fuzzy onesie crawls to it. The end.
People Who Mysteriously Disappeared with No Explanation Part 3. On October 21st, 1978, Australian pilot Frederick Valentic was flying over Australia's Bass Strait when he radioed in that an unidentified flying object was following him. According to the transcript, the UFO was tracking him, stopped in midair, and then vanished. His last transmission was "It's hovering and it's not an aircraft," followed by white noise. No trace of Valentic or his plane were ever discovered. In July of 1916, Hungarian police raided the home of a man named Bela Kiss while he was serving in World War I. To their horror, the team found the bodies of 24 women, all with puncture wounds on their necks and their blood drained, which led many to believe that Kiss was a vampire. On October 4th, investigators tracked the killer to a Serbian hospital, only to find on their arrival that he'd vanished and a dead soldier in the bed where he'd recently been in.
Morbid Facts, Part 8. This photo from 1904 shows a rubber worker from the Belgian Congo staring at the severed hands and feet of his 5-year-old daughter. She was brutally murdered because he failed to meet his quota for the day. When Japan executes criminals by hanging, 3 different buttons on the wall are pressed by 3 different people at the same time. This is so that none of them know who actually did the killing, since only one button is randomly programmed to open the trap door. In 2008, a Brazilian priest strapped 1,000 balloons onto a lawn chair and rode it into the sky as part of a fundraiser. He was able to reach an altitude of 20,000 feet before losing contact with authorities. Over a month later, the lower half of his body was found floating near an oil rig. In 1958, North Carolina, a white girl told her parents that she kissed 2 black boys aged 7 and 9 on the cheeks. The girl's father then arranged a mob to the boys' homes where they threatened to lynch them and their parents. Soon enough, police showed up and proceeded to arrest and severely beat the young boys themselves. Charged with rape, they were confined for 6 days without being able to contact their parents. The boys spent 4 months in prison before finally being pardoned by the governor. It's infamously known as the kissing case of 1958.
Just by a kiss on the cheek. Man, those are some dark times. They ain't even do anything. You're not alone? Somebody watching you?
After hearing this story, I'll guarantee you'll check a specific place in your house tonight before you go to sleep. A Japanese man lived alone in the sleepy town of Kasuya, started noticing that small amounts of food from around his house were going missing. He was convinced that it was a burglar. Every night before bed, he checked that the doors and windows were locked, but still his food was disappearing. Now confused and frustrated, he installed security cameras to catch the burglar in the act and find out how they were getting into his home. What he saw when he checked the footage the next day is shocking. The cameras showed a 58-year-old woman he didn't know opening his fridge door and stealing food. He immediately checked all the doors and windows, all still locked. Then he realised she wasn't breaking in, she was already in the house. In a panic, he phoned the police. They searched his house from top to bottom. An officer slid open a wardrobe to find a homeless woman living on the top shelf of his closet, and from the look of it, she'd been there for several months.
What do you imagine the fairy tale character Rapunzel would look like? This actress received racist backlash online after rumors spread she'd be playing the princess. Some argue that the part should be played by a European actress because it's a European story. The story rose to popularity after being published in 1812 by German folklorists, but was believed to have been based on earlier stories from France and Italy. Some researchers believe that the story may have been derived from pre-Christian European beliefs, as the maiden in tower archetype seems to have been present across a range of cultures. Examples include the Greek myth of Danae, who was imprisoned in a bronze tower, or the Baltic goddess Sholay, who was also held in a tower by a king. Seeing that the maiden in a tower archetype has existed in multiple Indo-European speaking cultures, we should also acknowledge that the Indo-European speaking world extends past the borders of Europe and well into Asia. This is important because it seems that the earliest documented tale of a maiden in a tower that also features her letting down her hair to her savior comes from Persia. In the famous Persian epic known as Shahnameh, a princess by the name of Rudaba is trapped in a tower and lets down her hair to assist her savior in climbing up. Of course, I'm not implying that Rapunzel is a rip-off of Rudaba, but rather that all these tales may have a common place of origin, perhaps tracing back to the Proto-Indo-Europeans.
Her mom sold her to be used for a ritual. 6-year-old Jocelyn Smith was from South Africa and was always known to have a beautiful smile on her face. On February 19th of 2024, Jocelyn was not feeling well, and instead of her mom Kelly staying home to take care of her, she left her alone with her boyfriend Jochen. By the time Kelly arrived home, Jocelyn was missing. Now Kelly didn't seem worried at all. She continued with her day as normal and even went on a trip a couple days later. Neighbors in the area were worried and searching for Jocelyn, while Kelly, on the other hand, was completely chill and didn't have a care in the world. People in the local community started talking and found out that Kelly sold Jocelyn. She had sold her to a traditional healer in South Africa known as a Sangoma, and they wanted her for her eyes and skin. Jocelyn's body parts would be used in rituals in return for money. A local pastor had testified that he had once heard Kelly talking about selling Jocelyn for $1,100 but would go down to $275 if she needed to. Kelly, her boyfriend Jochen, and a friend named Savino were all arrested in connection to Jocelyn's disappearance. In May of 2025, the three were all found guilty, and even though there was no evidence, the testimonies is what did it, and the three were sentenced to life in prison. When they got their sentence, Kelly was shedding some tears, and their friend Stavino was smiling and had no remorse whatsoever. To this day, Jocelyn's body has not been recovered.
Monster, man. How you gonna smile after what just went down? People who don't have no remorse are one of the most dangerous people in the world.
She put her 28-year-old infant in the microwave after a heated argument with her boyfriend. The argument was concerning the child's paternity, and she ended the child's life because of this. This happened all the way back in 2005, and China Arnold was responsible for this. Medical evidence suggests that the baby's internal temperature reached over 107 degrees. There were no external injuries or burns outside, so this was just microwave radiation, just heating the body up from the inside out. And this is even worse than an external burn, obviously. It goes straight inside of you. It boils you alive from the inside out. Arnold's defense claimed that she was intoxicated, and then they also tried to claim there was like third-party factors here that impacted her decision and everything like that. But the jury did not buy it. The judge did not buy it at all. They sentenced her to life without parole in 2011. And apparently, while she was in prison after she got sentenced, she told a cellmate that she put the baby in the microwave to kill it because she was worried her boyfriend would hurt her or break up with her if he found out it wasn't his. This is just such a sickening story. I don't know how people could live like this. What are your opinions on the story? This happened in Ohio.
Morbid Facts, Part 10. When 13-year-old Ryan White got AIDS from a blood donor in 1984, he was only given 6 months to live. Even though doctors said he posed absolutely zero risk to other students, Ryan was banned from returning to school by a petition signed by 117 parents. An auction was even held to raise funds to keep him out, and a local newspaper that supported him received death threats. The family had no other choice but to leave town when a bullet was shot through the window of their home. Ryan outlived the doctor's diagnosis by 5 years, dying at the age of 19. In 2009, Moscow native Julia Popova was stabbed in the neck by a mugger. but she was in so much shock that she walked home without even realizing that the knife was embedded in her, just millimeters from her spinal cord. She spent over an hour with the blade in her back before finally going to the hospital. The knife was successfully removed via surgery, and Julia made a full recovery. Dutchman Dirk Willems was a religious prisoner who escaped his execution in 1569. When the guard chasing him fell through the ice in a nearby river, Willems turned around to save him. He was then recaptured and burned at the stake. Your lungs have a total surface area of 750 square feet, meaning if they were opened up and laid flat, they would cover the entire size of a tennis court. In 1977, the drummer for Lynyrd Skynyrd, Artemis Pyle, survived the plane crash that killed half the band. He then walked to a nearby house for help, only to be shot by the homeowner. He was apparently startled by the sight of a long-haired, bloody man, and fired a warning shot that hit the drummer in the shoulder. Once Pyle shouted that there was a crash, the farmer helped him and he went on to recover.
I always knew not to believe everything that I see on social media, but this story about this guy who manipulated thousands of women by pretending to be something he wasn't is absolutely insane. I don't know if you guys have heard about this TikToker who created content preaching about healthy relationships and teaching men how to be better partners, and he portrayed himself as being this caring and respectful man. Well, he recently murdered his ex-girlfriend. The crazy part about this story is that I actually know of a woman who was supposed to fly out from Toronto to Miami to meet this man sometime before he took his ex-girlfriend's life. Thank God she didn't go. This guy's name is Joy Chandra Nath. He's 29 years old, and this happened in Miami, and he stabbed his ex-girlfriend. She was 24 years old, and her name was Maria Camila Garcia Molina, in her car, and apparently her 3-year-old daughter was in the car and saw everything. Her daughter was found wandering alone on the street, and she was covered in her mother's blood, and they later found Maria's body in her car with stab wounds all over. Police arrested this man after Maria's daughter told them that her mother was with Joy and then she fell asleep. Investigators said that Maria had a restraining order against this man when he began stalking her after she ended things in November 2024. Before her death, Maria found an AirTag in her car and she caught this man hiding near her house several times. When they arrested him, he had scratches all over his face and he also had Maria's phone and purse on him, but he said that she had gave it to him that morning. Like I said, I know of someone who met this man on a dating app on Facebook. I guess it's like Facebook dating. And she was supposed to fly out from Toronto to Miami to go meet him, but she completely cut him off before this thing happened after another girl reached out to her to tell her that he was also talking to her at the same time. And apparently he was talking to so many women at the same time. He was charged with second-degree murder and he's in the Miami-Dade County Jail and he has no bond. I think it's very common for people to meet on dating apps nowadays. I mean, I've done it, but it's very important to always be aware and know that there are risks because you don't know who this person is at the end of the day. People are so unhinged nowadays and someone can put up this whole facade about themselves on social media or a dating app and you wouldn't even know it. And this is my own personal opinion, but I would never fly out to go meet anyone. I think the risks are a lot higher. You're going to a different country to see someone that you've never seen before. If anything, they're coming here where I feel safe and I have family.
Yep. Doing online dating app, man. I gotta be careful if y'all meeting up. Always doing a public place. I gotta build that trust up. Yeah, some crazy out here nowadays. So you can never be too careful. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video. Comment down below. Also, don't forget to hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload my next videos. You guys are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.